Alright, in this lesson I wanted to introduce filtering with the where method. It's one more method that we can call on a data frame to filter, but it returns a slightly different result. So I'll begin by executing our code, re-importing our James Bond data frame. So the where method is unique because it's actually going to return the original data frame, the complete data frame, even though we're filtering. And what it's going to do is those rows that have a matching condition, or those rows that are valid for our condition, are going to have all of their values represented and present. And the rows that do not match our criteria are just going to be filled with null values. So let's take a look, because a visual example here will better clarify it than any way that I could describe it. So let's begin by creating a Boolean series, by creating a criteria. So let's say I want to extract the rows where the value in the actor column is equal to Sean Connery. So I'll begin by taking out my Bond actor column. There I have my series where the index is the data frame index and the values are the values from my actor column. I want to use my double equal sign to compare every value to the string Sean Connery. Sean Connery. Alright, so there we have a Boolean series of trues and falses. True where it is Sean Connery, false where it is not. Now what I'm actually going to do is store this in a variable, as we usually do, to buy ourselves some syntactical space. So I'm going to set this equal to mask, and just as a quick refresher, if I were to pass this directly into square brackets after my data frame, I would get a subset data frame that looks like this. It would only contain the rows where I actually have Sean Connery in my actor column. Now the where method operates pretty similarly. We do call the actual method, so it's going to be bond.where, and the where parentheses, the argument it accepts, is actually going to be a Boolean series. So for example, we already have one right here in mask, so I'm just going to put mask here, and let's see what happens. So it's going to actually return us the entire data frame. We can see that all 25 films here are going to be represented to my left. But the only rows that are going to have valid values are those where we have Sean Connery in the actor column. So for example, here we have Sean Connery in Diamonds Are Forever, so the entire row's values are going to be present. In comparison, the row values from other rows where we do not have Sean Connery are all going to be nulls. So this is a way that we can get back our original data frame but visually represent which rows fit our condition rather than just returning a smaller subset data frame. So let's do another example. I'm going to collapse this by double-clicking here. And let's say I now want to show those rows that had a box office gross greater than 800. I'm going to select my box office column, and let's do greater than 800 here, because these numbers are in millions. I'm going to get a Boolean series of trues and falses. This time, just to show you that it works either way, I'm not going to store this in a variable. Rather, I'm just going to pass it directly to bond.where. I'm going to give it a Boolean series inside those parentheses. And here you can see we're going to get the exact same result. The full data frame will be returned each and every time, but now only those conditions, only where those conditions are met, only where the box office is greater than 800. We can see it right here, as well as right here and right here. Only where that condition is met will the rows be valid and not have the whole bunch of null or NaN values. And we can absolutely feed things like multiple conditions into our where clause. Just to demonstrate this, I'm going to copy my two conditions above. I'm just going to take this one, which is my second condition. In fact, what I think I'm going to do for simplicity's sake is just assign it to mask2. So mask2 now has a Boolean series of trues and falses based on this criteria. And let's say I wanted to mix those two conditions, bond, where, mask, and mask2 with the ampersand symbol. So this indicates where the box office gross is greater than 800 and the value in the actor column is equal to Sean Connery. So two conditions, and you can absolutely do more than two. You can do or with that vertical pipe character. The where method works exactly as you'd expect. But once again, we're going to get the full data frame back, and only those rows where both those conditions are met, Sean Connery and greater than 800 are going to be returned. So if you ever need to keep the original data frame, but you need to kind of isolate specific rows and show that those are the valid ones, the where method is a pretty effective method for doing that.